company says it's about to become the first in the U.S. to offer microchip implants to its employees. You heard that right. Microchip implants under the skin. Josh Rosenthal joins us live from just up the hall to explain this. He's in the building with us right now. Josh, what's this all about?
That's right. So, Lindsay, just outside of the studio here, we've got a few of these vending machines. Now, we all know how these work, right? You walk up, you put your dollar in, you get your bag of chips. Well, as I learned today, these machines are quickly becoming very old-fashioned, and in fact, just how old-fashioned may surprise you. At 3 Square Market in River Falls, a team of programmers designed software for break room markets, like this one. Believe it or not, this is the reason they're about to do this to more than 50 of their employees.
It's the next thing that's inevitably going to happen, and we want to be a part of it.
The concept is pretty simple. Just like how you can buy something nowadays using your phone, what if you could use a microchip inside your hand instead? Todd, you're going to show us how this could potentially work.
Yes, basically what this is considered is a break room market in an office complex. We'll come up, scan the item, we'll hit pay with credit card, and it's asking to swipe my proximity payment now. I'll hold my hand up, just like the cell phone, and it will pay for my product.
Instead of a credit card,
correct,
hand.
Because my microchip is now my credit card.
More than 50 3 Square Market employees are having them implanted starting next week. Not only can they buy stuff with them, they'll also be able to use the chips to get in the front door and log on to their computers. Each chip costs $300. The company's picking up the tab. The chip goes between your thumb and forefinger, and CEO Todd Westby says the data is both encrypted and secure. So if I'm one of your employees and I've got this chip in my hand, you won't know, hey, Josh is slacking off. I can tell because I'm reading this chip.
No, there's no GPS tracking at all.
Employees here aren't required to get the chip. One of the ones choosing to do so, however, just so happens to be former North Star player and current Edina hockey coach, Kurt Giles. If somebody told you back in the day when you're flying around the ice playing for the North Stars that you're going to have a chip implanted in your hand, you're going to use it to pay for stuff, you're going to use it to get in and out of buildings, what would you have told that person?
I probably would have thought a chip tooth or a chip of ice, but not a chip that has the technology that we're talking about today.
Okay, now, in case you're wondering, Lindsay, each one of these chips, it's about the size of a single grain of rice. It's tiny, just one little grain of rice. And now, get this, if you get one of these implanted into your hand and you want to get rid of it, you know how you do that? For real, they tell me you just pop it out.
It's almost hard to believe. Did they offer you one?
They did. They very much wanted me to come back next week when they're putting them in employees and get one. Still not sold, but I'm a little closer to being sold than I was when I walked in.
Faster from the vending machine.
Sure would.
All right, now we need to upgrade the vending machines.
Yeah, really.
All right, thank you, Josh. Sure. All right, this may be the first time a U.S. company is using the technology, but it's already being used in Europe. A company in Sweden offered more than 100 employees the opportunity to get those microchips earlier this year. The company Epicenter Stockholm says phone and internet browsing history poses more of a threat than the chip.
As usual, you are not expecting me. I'm sure you can recognize who I am, but if you don't, let me introduce myself. It is I who worship God for thousands of years. I was the greatest of all slaves. My beauty lifted the hearts of the crowds. My light outshine the stars. And I was determined to ascend above the clouds to the high sacredness of God. And it happened. My wish was granted. It was a dream come true. I was rewarded by my Creator to be amongst the finest angels, the most loved. I was adoring all my eminence until your father, Adam, was created. I couldn't believe that I, the greatest of all, had to prostrate to an insignificant human made from clay.
Then, and I was told about it when I was 15, so we can go back 24 years ago, I was warned about the mark of the beast, the microchip, whatever you want to call it. I think that it's a lot more, it's going to become a lot more advanced as future goes on. But one thing interesting also is I'm going to share some images with you. Like if you take a look at, let's just go to Revelation 13:17, and the second beast required all people, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead. Now, if you've got it on your forehead, if you've got it in your head, I think of the Social Security number. If you put a mark on your right hand, it could be one of those little tattoos, or it could be a chip. Remember, this is translations from translations from translations as well, somebody's interpretation. Maybe they were seeing the future and picked up something in this regard. Or maybe this is a script for the elite to look at and use as a game plan where they can constantly refine it and constantly update what's already there, making people think it's something new, meet the new boss, same as the old boss, just new technologies, etc. This person, if you go to gildon.wordpress.com, I'll leave the link in the video description box. In 2004, they went to a party in Brazil. It was a chip planting party. Like, hey, get the chip. It's cool. Everybody's doing it. And you'll get free drinks, and you can go to the VIP room. So they take this chip. When they take the chip, they say, oh, it's easy to take out. It's just like popping out a little piece of rice out of your skin there. Look at how difficult it was to actually pull this out of her arm a year later. This is from a French documentary showing the Verichip having to be surgically removed, and it looks like the tissue's intertwined with it. And if you go to the blueprint of that chip, you can actually see how they've got it broken down to infuse with the tissue around it. Now, if that isn't scary enough, look at this disgusting tumor associated with a microchip implant. Read all about it, folks. The proof is in the pudding. This is absolutely disgusting. But hey, you won't even have to reach for your phone now or for any change. You can just swipe your hand at the cash register and go. How about that? Now, if we go back to this company that is implanting microchips and their employees, like, yeah, we're going to do it because it's the next big thing. So each chip costs $300. Now, when they're saying that everybody's going to be doing this eventually, let's just say in the U.S. alone, you've got 400 million approximately dilapidated meat suits. That's $120 billion in microchip cells. Probably costs them about 8 cents to produce. So they say that there's no GPS in the chips that's being put in their employees. There's no GPS. Now, does that mean that they can't be tracked? Absolutely not. You don't need GPS to track somebody. When they place their orders, where they place their orders, there's transmitting devices that can easily pick up the location of that specific chip without the need for GPS. It'd be very easy to track you. And at the end of the video, or the end of this reporting crew, the guy is just, I mean, he is like super tickled pink when he's talking to the other reporter on Channel 5 News, and he's like, you know, it's so easy and it's so small, and look, it's smaller than a grain of rice, and there's no GPS, so they can't track you with it, and they say it's easy, just pop it out. You just pop it out of your skin like a thing of rice. It's so cool, it's so exciting. I mean, he had a grin from ear to ear, and then she goes, did they offer you a chip? And he goes, yeah, they did. They almost sold me on it, but they didn't quite sell me on it, but maybe in the future. So even this guy that's like still nervous about it is just boasting how exciting it is to be a dilapidated narcissistic meat suit with no motivation but swiping your hand at a vending machine or at the cash register while you pick up your goods full of poisonous cocktails disguised as sweet treats. Welcome to the New World Order, where corporations love you so much they'll do anything they can to profit off of your suffering. Now, let's go to, let me go over this with you. The Earth's human resonance is 7.83 hertz. Many of the new 5G technologies are running at 90 billion hertz. They basically put these beams in short proximity, so instead of long waves, they're very highly concentrated beams. Imagine if that's directed right towards your head while you're sleeping at night and you wouldn't even know it, because a lot of these new cell phone towers and devices, they disguise them as rocks, boulders, houses, even mall towers that show the names of the businesses in the strip malls. It's disgusting, you guys. It's absolutely disgusting. Now, Sweden recently offered 100 employees at the Epic Center in Stockholm the opportunity to be microchipped. This is where it gets even more interesting. India, the first digital cashless society. This is a great article from Business Insider, and Business Insider really is a magazine and an article in regards to how to make money in different markets and industries and stocks, etc. So these guys are looking at it as a business opportunity. And I get that. It certainly is a business opportunity, but at what expense? And what happens when it reaches you? And is there a spiritual consequence to it? Is there a physical consequence to it as well, like we just looked at just a moment ago with that tumor around the chip, the microchip implant? Stephen McBride and Malden Economics, July 2nd. This just came out. And let me go through some of this with you guys here. Before 2009, half of people that lived in India did not have any form of ID, not even a birth certificate. So with no form of identification, the citizens would not have access to services such as banking, insurance, and it would be even more difficult to get a driver's license. So many opportunities like starting a business, according to this article, were not readily available to them. So in 2009, India launches Aadhaar. This reminds me of the film The Circle, but in India. Aadhaar is a biometric database that is based on 12 digits of a digital identity. It's authenticated by fingerprints and retina scans. That was just the beginning. Now they want to take Aadhaar to an entirely new level. So in 2016, India added another component to its digitized system called India Stack. It is a series of secured and connected systems allowing people to store and share personal data like addresses, bank statements, employment records, tax filings, etc. And this can all be accessed and shared via Aadhaar. So the India Stack allows citizens to open a bank account, brokerage account. You can go out and buy a mutual fund. You can share medical records anywhere in India with just your fingerprint or a retinal scan from Aadhaar. So what if somebody steals your fingerprint? Very easy to do. What if somebody takes your retina, a picture of your eye, and uses that? How easy would that be? Then they could find out everything about you and everybody that's connected with you. Boom! Super easy. Oh, yeah, it's quite encrypted, isn't it? That sounds extremely easy to get around. Cashless world made possible. Prime Minister Modi's cash ban. Prime Minister of India has a cash ban. Now, since Aadhaar was launched, 270 million bank accounts have been opened in India, which is interesting because in 2015, a report from MasterCard found that India would be one of the least ready countries to transition to a digital payment system. Looks like they failed that opportunity. Now, my question is, how much money is the Prime Minister getting being a part of this Aadhaar? He's got to have his fingers in this somehow. I'll leave the links in the video description box. You look at the population of India, 1.324 billion. That's going to continue to rise. I was looking at projections from the United Nations and other forecasts, different think tanks that are government and non-government, that are projecting the population of India to continue to increase, while the U.S. and many westernized countries, the populations are going to continue to decrease. Look at the size of India compared to the U.S. alone. So it's about the third the size of the U.S. Not if you add Alaska in there, though. This just puts into perspective Texas. If you 1.3 billion people living in a country about 2.5 times the size of Texas, I find very interesting. And I want to leave it this. Leave this podcast at this. Great article, rents.com. This was in 2007, so this came out after Digital Angel. This is showing a new microchip that uses 0.005 amps, about 1/20th of the current of a flashlight bulb. The standby current is 250 nanoamps, or 250 billionths of an amp. It can still record data for later transmission while sleeping in an extremely low power level, according to the company's data sheet. So the chip could easily be powered without batteries by using motion transducers, zero-point devices, or with electrochemical power sources in the body. So you can read about that at Ted Twytmeyer, dataforscience.net, or just go to rents.com. Rents is a great website for many different articles in the fringe realms and what you're not going to find in the mainstream news.
Difficult it was. I refused. I said no to the Almighty. I worshipped God for thousands of years. For how long had Adam served him? Why was Adam given the whole earth to rule? Clearly, I deserved it all, without a doubt. I am the one to rule and command the earth. Since the day of my refusal to kneel, I turned into the worst creature, became the enemy of God and his faithful servants. God promised me to enter hell on the day of judgment and to be held there for eternity. All this has happened because of you. I hate and envy you the same way I envied your father. Since you were born, I have been sinfully harming your life. I will not enter hell alone. I want you to share the pain with me and the curse that will descend upon me. I want to see you burn, cry, and scream as I will.
If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land.